That silly dog will never get the tip. What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. First and foremost, shout out to everyone that's been liking, subscribing, and commenting. You guys are awesome. And speaking of the dip, it is Saturday, and we are seeing the typical weekend red that we usually see. So the market cap is sitting at around $265 billion. If we have a look at the biggest change of the day, we have LOOM Network up 27%, doing kind of like the dragon graph right there. And then we have Tezos. So obviously, guys, clearly LOOM Network is up because everyone's excited about Zombie Battleground. I don't know. I actually have no idea. But if you're wondering, what the heck is Tezos? Well, Tezos was a year-long ICO, guys. And I was looking at this article right here, and basically it turns out that a lot of people are selling their Tezos, but some people are saying that this is a good thing because they're shaking out the non-believers, the weak hands. So basically, it says, while it's still in its early days, the decline appears to mark a tough first week for the project that raised $232 million in July of last year in a record-setting initial coin offering. Even so, for investors who obtained Tezos at the ICO price of 47 cents, selling this week would still be profitable. So if we kind of come back over here and have a look at what's been going on with Tezos, you'll see that even though it's up 23%, yeah, it's taken a massive dump right here. Like if we just zoom into the past few days, look at that. So we were sitting up here at like $4. And now it's all the way down here at $1.77. But like they said, it still is profitable if you got in at the ICO. Currently, as of right now. So there was kind of a joke right here, and it was World's Strongest Man contest. You know, this guy's picking up a rock. This guy's picking up like a bunch of weight on a dumbbell. And then this guy says, I've held Tezos since June 2017. And the judges all give him 10 across the board. So I thought that was really funny. Now, here's something pretty interesting, right? So imagine a world in which all the fiat, all the money, everything is just in Bitcoin. So here's an interesting article that was entitled, How Much Would Bitcoin's Price Be If It Extinguished Fiat Currency? So this is just, you know, speculative, kind of fun, nothing really to take too seriously. So it says, broad money is considered physical money, yet only comprises 8% of all the money on the books in the world. 92% of the money on books is non-physical. USD 712 trillion of non-physical money is tied up in all the world's real estate. And it is quite interesting that there is nowhere near enough physical money in the world to buy all of the world's real estate. This suggests that the real estate market is hyperinflated and not based on reality. But it gets worse. The governments of the world hold roughly $215 trillion of debt, which is more than double all the physical money in the world. This is an excellent way to visualize how unstable the global economy is. So, if that wasn't bad enough, the global derivatives market is somewhere between 544 trillion US dollars and I can't even imagine this, $1,200 trillion, outweighing physical money by an order of magnitude. So in a nutshell, to sum it up, if all the world's fiat was put into Bitcoin, the price per coin would be roughly 500,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. And if all the physical money was put into Bitcoin, the price per coin would be, are you guys ready? $5 million per Bitcoin. So that's just hypothetically. That's if all the money in the world was in Bitcoin. Bitcoin would be worth $5 million. So I don't know. Thought that was kind of crazy to think of it that way. But yeah, that was just kind of a funny story. Now, moving on to some other things in Bitcoin too. I'm sure most of you know this, but there are some people out there that don't really understand. One of the other things about Bitcoin is that, so there's 21 million Bitcoin eventually that'll be, you know, minted by year 20 something, whatever it is. But roughly 4 million Bitcoin have been lost forever. So that's, you know, roughly 20% of Bitcoin is estimated. Now, this is just because, don't forget, a lot of people, when they were mining way back in the day when Bitcoin was able to be mined by people on their laptops and not by conglomerates like Bitmain, people were making tons of Bitcoin. They were mining tons of Bitcoin, and they had so much of it that they considered it to be worthless. They forgot about it over time. You know, don't forget you had the Mt. Gox hack and all these other things. So a lot of people lost faith in it, and as well, people forgot their passwords, because back then for your private keys, it wasn't as convenient. You know, it wasn't like everybody's got a ledger, or you know, you could use my Ether wallet or something of that nature, or blockchain.info. I remember Peter Saddington from Bite Size Bitcoin Decentralized TV saying that he had to literally hand write his private key out. I mean, can you imagine that? What if you screw up like an L or an I or forget a letter? Forget it. You're done, right? You'll never remember that. So it's estimated that roughly 4 million are lost, which also kind of helps to stabilize the price of Bitcoin, because in a sense, it's almost like 4 million Bitcoin are just forever hodled, right? So here's another interesting thing from this story as well. So Chainalysis, I got into this already. I spoke about that. So they talk about, it says, for the average user with mental block preventing access to Bitcoin holdings, it says, however, there are these services that exist, right? So there's a hypnotist, Jason Miller, that he claims that he can get people to remember their passwords. And he says that around 50% of those who came into him requesting psychological assistance to remember a wallet password were able to remember it. That might be a little fudge statistics there, Jason, but I'm not going to hold you to it. They say everyone has a photographic memory. With skilled hypnotic regression, you can access that photograph, he says, adding the provision that he only accepts around 6 cases each year for a fee of 0.5 BTC plus 5% of any recovered funds. He says usually when they find their Bitcoin, they're so excited that they have no problem sending the commission to reversal. So 2 stories in one. 4 million Bitcoin lost forever. Roughly $20 billion forever being hodled. And apparently this guy can recover your passwords with his magic hypnosis. So here's a good question. Here's something that people bring up all the time. So when is the best time to invest in an ICO? Some people might say never, right? But the question is, bear markets or bull markets, when do ICOs tend to perform better? So there was a little bit of a survey down here. 59% of people said that they perform better in bull markets, 14% neutral, 12% bear, 12% anytime doesn't matter, and 3% never. So I'm not going to go into this. They go into all this different data. They talk about ICOs, returns. So roughly, it says that at a ratio of 2 to 3, it looks like more of them are sitting below their price than are above their price. However, you do have to take into consideration how many ICOs have come out, right? So going down here, basically the conclusion of the article says, in summary, we found there is no statistical significance in the average ICO performance in either a bull or bear market. In fact, we find that 1, there tends to be far more performance losers than winners regardless of market environment. 2, ICOs on average tend to underperform in both bull and bear markets where the market is driven by incubant coins and tokens. And 3, bull markets see more outliers of negative performers. So here's the funny part. So there's an editor's note at the bottom, and he says, when I assigned Garrett, who's the guy that did this, to the task, I thought that I was going to prove to the world that investing in ICOs during a bear market was a bad idea. Not only was I proven wrong, but this study has given me new epiphanies on how to further capitalize the downtrends. So there you go. There you go, guys. So one way to hedge against the down market is investing in ICOs. However, in America, we're not so fortunate. So that being said, let's move on. I wanted to talk about Binance. So Binance says that they are on track to potentially a record $1 billion in profit in 2018. And then as the article states, this is surpassing certain major banks. So Binance is potentially making more than some of the major banks out there. So CZ kind of quoted on it right here, and he said that he plans to make at least a minimum of $500 million in profit in 2018 alone, with the best case scenario resulting in about $1 billion in annual profits, $300 million in revenue in the past 6 months alone. However, he speaks about how trading has declined, and how volume has sort of slowed down. So that's insane to think of how far this project has come, considering that, you know, it had a $15 million ICO in January of last year. Can you imagine if you got in on that Binance ICO? Man. I mean, I bought my first Binance at $3, but, you know, can you imagine getting in on the ICO? That's crazy. So anyway, guys, speaking of exchanges, HBUS. So this is the strictly US Huobi partner HBUS exchange. So they are ready for sign up. The sign up has begun, and as of the 10th, trading will begin. I was really shocked when I first went to this website. I'm not sure if I refresh it if it'll show up. Yeah, it didn't. But it gave me like a message that popped up, and it was like only US citizens. And I was like, wait, am I reading this right? Usually it's no US citizens. So that's interesting. I'm pretty excited to see what coins they're going to list. I'm hoping Elastos, because we've been looking for another exchange, considering that they're already on Huobi. This may be that chance that American citizens have been waiting to pick up that sweet, sweet Ella at a discount, I must say. Moving on, so I wanted to kind of go into this article. So this guy, Kyle Dewey from MyBit, he basically broke down an article of Ethereum versus EOS. Very, very objective. However, I do want to add one thing that might slander the view a little bit. MyBit actually is utilizing EOS, so just take that with a grain of salt. However, besides that, I found this article to be relatively objective, and I thought it was a really, really great comparison of EOS versus Ethereum, some of the problems and solutions, etc. So I'm not going to go into it, but I know that it's pretty good read, so check it out, guys. Also, that being said, Vitalik, he was over at TechCrunch. He had a little bit of an interview as well. Some of the key points that came out, some of the highlighted quotes were, I'm interested in social recovery. He says multi-key schemes. He said WeChat social recovery system. If you lose your password, WeChat asks you to select people in your contact list within a big list of names. You can also imagine some sort of offline validation. Really, really cool. You know who else said that they were interested in that was the Tenzorum team. I had an interview with them, and they were speaking about key management and things of that nature. You know, what happens if you lose your private key? Wouldn't it be cool if you could have a network of people that could validate who you were? He also says, I definitely hope centralized exchanges burn in hell, as much as he said. In particular, he thinks there's no reason some projects need to pay 10 to 15 million in listing fees to let people trade their tokens on centralized exchanges. He also said that he can't blame them entirely. In a lot of industries, he says, I can understand that it comes down to compromises. Sometimes you have regulatory obligations that force you to centralize at least just a little bit. All right? I will drop a link to the actual video itself, and if you guys are curious for the famous part, this is basically it right here.
There'll be a bizarre occasional use case.
And I definitely personally hope centralized exchanges burn in hell as much as possible.
Yeah, so that's basically where he says, I hope that they burn in hell. Speaking of centralized, let's talk about Bitmain. So Bitmain, you know, they are the ASIC miners. We all know who they are. So they are now leading... They're looking into basically acquiring a $50 million stake in Opera. So Opera is the private VPN mobile browser. Okay, so that's really interesting. So Bitmain, this is the other thing too. It says they earned between $3 to $4 billion in revenue last year, and Jihan Wu said that he wishes to create private blockchain-based banks. While details are still sketchy on how centralized banking will take place upon the blockchain, Bitmain is looking to invest in quite a few startups in the sphere. It looks like they are starting with Opera, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitmain moving out of Bitcoin mining into other things. I know that they're going to do that merged mining with Elastos, kind of just covered them before. So very interesting. I don't know where these guys are going to go. It's kind of like how Facebook was just buying up everything, Google buying up everything. Maybe Bitmain is going to start buying up everything now too. Who knows? Maybe Bitmain will try to buy Binance or something. I don't know. Probably not. But moving on to some other things, I wanted to also talk about loaded proof of work, a new direct in proof of work algorithms. Now, this article came out last year, but the reason that I decided to kind of uncover this is because I thought it would be a really great read in comparison to speaking on things like Bitmain having 42% or something like that of the hash rate. And then if you add in their affiliations with the next biggest pool, you're looking at a potential 53% of all the hash rate. So you have loaded POW, and this is something that could potentially bring back that power to the hands of the regular everyday people. They speak about how, you know, you have your own devices that you're using. In other words, like, you have all these different devices, your phones, your computers, all these things that aren't doing any work when they're turned off. This is a very long article, guys. I'm not going to go into it. It's like literally a half hour to get through this whole article. Very, very long read, but I'll drop a link in the description and maybe you guys can give me a little bit of input on what you think of that. So on to a little bit of coin news super quick. This article came out and it was discussing basically how do people react to mainnets. So they take these 3 mainnet releases, they look at EOS, they look at VeChain, and they look at Ontology. Basically, I'm going to save you the time of reading this article, although I will drop it in the description, but essentially, people don't really care that much. Basically, for the most part, people tend to buy the excitement all the way up to the mainnet, and then it sort of just plateaus and just either dips or does really nothing. So yeah, it looks like back in the day, and when I say back in the day, I mean like last year, mainnets would actually see a huge surge in price because that would prove to people that the coins were able to be their own stable infrastructure, and that was a way that people would celebrate. They had trust in the projects, they'd put their money in. Now it's all just about a speculation game, you know, make money during the run-up and dump it. So unfortunately, that's what happened there. In other coin news as well, I did want to kind of just real quick, Crush Crypto, they were over at the Quarkchain Testnet live, and essentially, I fast forwarded to the part right here because it's about an 8-minute video, 9-minute video, but you know, here you guys can see right here. So I suppose they were able to do 9,784 transactions per second. You know, obviously this is just, I'm just looking at a screen, looking at a video. I always say that I would like to see these with stress on them. I want to see them out. Like, look at Ethereum, right? I mean, how many things are running on Ethereum? Yeah, we diss Ethereum and CryptoKitties and Fcoin, but I want to see that stress put on the network, and then we'll really see what the transactions are able to do. But, you know, for everyone out there that, you know, well, I know a lot of people were actually upset with a lot of the way that Quarkchain did its ICO, whatever. That's for another day. Here's another test where they did 5,600. So that's basically coming out of Quarkchain. Now, moving on to some other news. I didn't have a lot of coin talk today. It was surprisingly quiet in the market today, really, when it came to coin news. So the SEC, they say that they're going to be going up against companies using blockchain in their names to boost prices. So this initiative is the result of several irregular situations in which companies with no type of link to blockchain technologies carried out a rebrand to place their new shares in the stock market. The overall reaction was one of disproportionate increase in prices without any substantial change to support such behavior. And we have seen a few of these companies talking about getting involved in blockchain, and we're seeing like 10% or 8% price increases in a day, which is insane for stock prices, even though that's very normal in crypto. So they also say this practice could be considered as fraudulent because even if not explicitly, the use of blockchain in the name generates a specific image or a natural expectation. So a corporate rebranding could imply a hidden intention on part of the management to produce this type of reaction. So they're basically stepping in with that as well. In other news, I want to kind of end on well, I got 2 stories before I go. The first one is that the FedEx Institute of Technology has announced its partnership with a pharmacy service company, Good Shepherd Pharmacy, to develop new blockchain-based infrastructure to help cancer patients get medication. I think this is really awesome, guys. So they say in Tennessee alone, over $10 million worth of perfectly good prescription medication gets flushed down the toilet every year. Blockchain is the solution for that problem. The Remedi project, which is short for Reclaiming Medicine, will divert valuable medication into the hands of patients who would not otherwise use it. So that's the first thing. And the second thing I wanted to also talk about was, so there was this first blockchain advertisement that was shown on Prime TV during the World Cup. So basically it's for Hyundai HDAC, and although they didn't really I mean, blockchain is just briefly mentioned at one point in the video. I thought that that was really, really cool. It says HDAC technology is building the future with the blockchain solution. That was basically it. But, you know, there you go. That was a commercial that was seen by, you know, a lot of people. So that's really awesome as well. That's really all I got for today, guys. Not too much. Pretty chill Sunday. So I want to say once again, thanks for everyone for coming back to my channel. You guys are freaking awesome. Everyone that's been smashing on that like button, definitely hit the subscribe button if you have not. Check out the links in the description if you want to join my Telegram chat. Bunch of really awesome people in there. Really great community. Yeah, that being said, guys, my name's K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And peace out.